Riders coming back on all the time, and you can assume with Danilo Hondo coming back on, Sean, that is everybody back together now.
Yes, and I think Daniel Honda's just taking the descent cautious, not taking any risk at all, because he's a rider I think can descend. If he needs to go down at a much faster rate, he can do that. Of course, he's in his final year. He's not going to take any unnecessary risk and getting down and getting back in here. And we see on the climb, in the earlier part, just got into his rhythm, as I said, walked away at it, got through the steep sections, and then comes back when it gets a bit easier towards the top. Experience is so important when you're a non-climber in a breakaway out in front today.
Well, he temporarily lost pitches there. Nice time to go and take a break, get that out of the way. 7 minutes and 34 seconds is the gap as we're back with you. 56.3 kilometres to go. Plenty of cycling all weekend on Eurosport. Remember, you can catch up on Walport's Classic, Tour of Norway as well. But here on the Giro d'Italia, the main dish is on the way. We've had the first category climb of the day. Tim Wellens taking the King of the Mountains points. This is what's happening back in the peloton. Pink jersey of Rigoberto Urán there. Look out for the green jersey of Pierre Rolland. Tacked last week. Needs to make up some time again. His team is trying to keep him close to the front. Astana working for Fabio Aru, remember. If you haven't managed to catch much of this Giro d'Italia, Michele Scarponi losing a lot of time. Crashing, hurting. 52 minutes and 15 seconds behind. Fabio Aru at 3 minutes 37 is a good bet. And again, talked about testing his maturity, testing how he goes in the race. Today's another big test for him, Sean Kelly.
Yes, well, it's going to be a physically big test and mentally as well, because Fabio Aru, normally Scarponi would be the team leader here, and it's a total different situation when you find yourself with a team, Astana, a big team looking for results here, and he is the one who is in the general classification at the moment at 3:37. That is going to be alone, it's a weight on your shoulders, not to take into consideration the terrain we have and the physical challenge to come up in the next week. But we'll see how he's going to manage that, and he has got a good team around him, of course, and it will be interesting to see Scarponi. Can he improve from his injuries? We haven't seen any great things from him up till now, but I think we're coming into the train as well, where if he is recovered, we should be seeing him possibly get into a breakaway as well in the next number of days, but also being a big help to Fabio Aru, who is their lead man for Astana for a place in general classification.
Well, you're a man that's done this, of course, gone from the transition from being a young, talented rider to having all that responsibility on your shoulders, as we see a few bottle runs being done by BMC, Daniel Oss in particular there. It's time to take on a gel for Rigoberto Urán. But when you make that transition and you suddenly have all of that responsibility on your shoulders, you know that if you fail, the team's failed. How does that feel, and how do you sort of take that on mentally?
Well, it's a difficult one. First of all, depending on what way you come to that point. If you're in a team where you're winning races and you're winning small races, and then you're getting better each year, and you do that over a number of years progress. But if you go into a big 3-week tour with a leader, like in Astana's case with Scarponi, which was the case, and then suddenly he has a problem, and you're one of the better riders in general classification, and suddenly you're the man who they're expecting to do something in the overall for the team, to carry the weight on that weight on your shoulders. That is a difficult one, and it's a surprise. It's a sudden one, and that's where it can become difficulty. Some riders can do it quite well, and other riders really have difficulty and fold under the pressures. But for Aru at the moment, it's early days yet. We're not talking about him a lot. The press are not really coming down on him. But as the race goes on, if he finds himself in the top 5 in general classification, of course, the Italian press will start talking, and then they're the interviews, and they will all want to talk to him after the race, pre-race, and that's the sort of pressure that can have a problem and can really weigh on the shoulders of a rider.
I think Fabio Aru, as we see his team there, and Enrico Gasparotto, Andre Zeitz as well, right in the centre of your picture, Paolo Tiralongo, It's all those really experienced guys to protect him. The worst thing that could happen for Fabio Aru were that all the rest of the Italian contenders are suddenly out of the race and all the national pressure's on him. You say the Italian press will really come down on him as we come through Trivero. It is a big, big problem if he's the only Italian contender left in contention. Domenico Pozzovivo could do him a bit of a favour in that respect. Pozzovivo very much in this Giro. As things stand, he's probably going to have the best chance that he's ever had of doing something strong in the Giro. This is the scene at the finish line. Everybody getting ready. But the action is happening 54.6 kilometres away. Front of the race. Front of the race still led by Frapporti. Santa Romito on his wheel, the Italian champion. Longo Borghini a little further up in the break. That's Oscar Gatto going back to the car at the back of the peloton. This climb now a long one. Just less than 20 kilometres long. It's the descent as well that is so long after that. Hottest spot of the climb comes more or less smack bang right in the middle of it. 13% gradient. Gets slightly easier towards the end. Hence its second category categorization. But it's, according to the literature we have right in front of us, after 10.5 kilometres of the 18.5 kilometre climb, that's when you have the sections up at 13%, but you've also got plus 10% sections very close to that. Thinning out a little at the front. Juliana Redondo on the right-hand side in that blue jersey. Question is, will he be wearing that blue jersey tomorrow? It's a big one for Tim Wellens. He's second at the minute, but still almost 30 points behind in the King of the Mountains classification. Nasser Bouhanni, number 81, still up the front. He's climbing well enough. Of course, he's had time to get back on and starts this climb with a little bit of sliding room, I think.
Yes, and I think it's been a relatively easy day, but again, surprised to see Bouhanni up here. It's something new for him. He's got this points red jersey classification to defend, and there's a lot of talk about that. And he is riding really well here. To be up here at this moment, normally he would be just hanging around the rear, waiting for the gruppetto, the bus to form. But he's a changed man. Winning 3 stages here. Now, he is in a position where he has to start in the climbs up front and allow himself a bit of space where he can slip back, and he's doing that quite well. Very much to the fore in the earlier part of the race today, something we would not normally see. He would just take this stage and hang around in the second half rear of the peloton and just wait to get into a gruppetto and finish the day. But he's taking it on with a different attitude totally.
Well, that's taking the tifosi reputation a bit silly, isn't it? The last thing the cyclists want to have to do there is breathe in the smoke from the flares. Yeah, it looks great on the camera, but you could see the rider from Giant Shimano was ducking out the way there, Albertima. Breathing, as we've seen so far, particularly important. Certainly here in a bike race. 53.6 k's to go. Yeah, with Bouhanni, it's almost as if it's amazing what a bit of motivation can do from you. We've seen it with the confidence as well, but like you're saying now, he's got the pressure of the team. He knows that everybody's behind that red jersey effort, and he really wants to give it his all. Borut Bozic out at the back. He's the number 6. Looking for his team car. 128 there. Fran Ventoso doing his domestic jobs wonderfully. All for Nairo Quintana. 3 minutes and 29 back. Focus on limiting his losses up to now. Can he overcome that sore throat? And that course of antibiotics he's on. Time for us to go for a break. Keep it Eurosport Cycling. Back in a minute with the rest of the Giro. A very warm welcome back to our coverage of stage 14 of the Giro d'Italia. We are awaiting a spectacular end to the stage. 3 hours in the saddle now. Albertima is suffering. So the rest of our 21 men in the breakaway. Only 4 teams not represented in this break. Movistar and Omega Pharma Quickstep. Katusha, Garmin as well. Frances Desjeux. on the way to Bielmonte. This is what it looks like. We told you that 13% was smack bang halfway in the middle of this climb. And we're headed to it now, around a quarter of the way through. Valerio Agnoli, one of the top climbers in this bunch, it has to be said. Who's going to win the stakes today? Who's going to take, if any, gaps on general classification as well? We'd like to know what you think. Hashtag Eurosport Cycling, at Rob Hatch TV. Write in, let us know. Get involved, join the conversation. This is your Giro as well. All about the fans, this race, remember. Marco Canola, yesterday's stage winner on the right-hand side. It's a beautiful victory. Absolutely brilliant. Held on, kept believing, as Sean said at the end. There's Roberto Ferrari as well. Not too long before he'll be spat out the back if the pace is up. And it's quite a tranquil rhythm, you have to say, though, Sean, at the minute. The Peloton just waiting, saving energy, playing that waiting game, and, as you say, making that calculation. And at the minute, it's all looking okay for them.
Yes, it's looking okay. When you look at the rear of the main peloton here, we can see Sebastian Chavanel from FDJ also in the group there. So it tells that, you know, the pace is relatively relaxed, because if it was, you know, any little bit of pushing on at all, those guys would have problems staying in there. And it looks like it's going to continue on as we get further up this climb. You know, the gradient, it does kick up at times as we get further up the climb, but unless there's an attack, we did see with Daniel Ondo in the steep section, they just lose a little bit, but then they get on the easier sections, they come back in again. And there's a lot of happy riders here in the peloton that is going this way today, because they're getting further and further down the road in the stage, and they will be happy with that situation. There'll be no concern about the time limit from here on, because now they're getting into that point where they're a long ways into the stage, and no matter what happens, they're not going to lose anything, which I think it's around 45 minutes the time limit will be. So there's a huge one today. Although they're losing, the average speed is dropping off, and that also is, you know, calculated on what average they do during the day. But it will be certainly, you know, 43, 45 minutes, I think, the time limit today. And there's going to be no problem for the sprinters of the guys who are carrying an injury, who are suffering at this moment. And we can see here just they're working away up this climb, and it's looking like that is going to be all down to the final climb of the day for the group out front of Breakaway for a stage victory, and possibly for the general classification men for some attacks to come from there.
Fran Ventoso still very, very close to front. Adriano Mallory takes it up for Movistar on the left-hand side. Tom de Gens still in the meaty part of his day. Well, a couple of you say Nico Roche, some others writing in to say Albert Dima's going to take the win. A lot of top climbers in that group, though. Dario Cataldo, Roche mentioned as well, Monsalve, the likes of Serra, even though he hasn't really shown his good form recently. An interesting one, Pantano as well. Domo on the right-hand side, still coming through to do their turns, and they've got themselves organised, or as organised as they can be on a climb again. Purdy Genese's Pierre Roland for the win. Well, for that would happen, they'd have to close down this 8 minutes and 41 seconds advantage. It's grown out again, and we said that there was quite an almost apathetic pace behind by the peloton. We saw mention the fact that Buoni was still there, Ferrari was still there, that it was still nice and controlled. And we're seeing the mathematical sense of that written on our screen at the minute, with the gap right out there now, and everything's bunched out. 8:47, a long way out yet, Sean. It's a good advantage now, though, for the break. It's looking a lot better than it did maybe 20 minutes ago, and it's gone down to 7:30, and you might think that it was going to carry on coming down.
Yes, well, with 51 kilometres to go, we can see again
those idiots.
They're out again with these flares, but we have, what, 10 kilometres to go to the top of the climb, so there is the opportunity for somebody to go in the attack, and if that happens, well, then this 8:40 advantage could come down a lot, but it doesn't look like that, as things seems to be very calm on the front. But that's the time when everything is calm. We could see somebody and some team just putting in a dig here, and if that happens, well, this peloton will start exploding big time. it's a long way to the top, 10 kilometres still, and the most difficult part of this climb up Bielmonte. And then, of course, the final climb of the day, a long one as well, 11k, and the percentage, you know, kicking up to 16%. If they do start chasing from behind out of the main peloton, the advantage at 8:33, it's going to be difficult to hold on, but I reckon that this peloton of main favourites are just going to continue on to the final climb, and if that is the case, they should get onto the climb with 6.5, 7 minutes of advantage, and that would be certainly sufficient for the breakaway guys to have a go for stage victory.
A lot of shaking of the heads, a few curses as they went through that smoke that was spat out from the flares there. Young lads obviously having a great time and get themselves on the telly. Looks great for us, but the likes of Nairo Quintana, who've been struggling breathing anyway, won't have been best pleased. From your time in racing, Sean, what was the most idiotic interference you had from the side of the road?
Well, I think the people just running along beside you and or running just in front of you when there is a lot of people on the roadside and you're going through that tunnel of spectators, and you have these crazy guys who just start running, and they're running as fast as you're trying to get up the climb, and that in its own, it's a difficult one, because
breaks your heart, doesn't it?
It does break your morale and breaks your heart. And they're also the danger of as well, because they're zigzagging in front of you there, and the people are trying to to see the riders coming through, and you're always concerned that there's somebody going to get tripped over and fall in the middle of the road. But you just keep on pedaling, you hope for the best, because if you knock off a fraction at all, well, then you're losing time. You want to keep working at your rhythm and not losing your rhythm, and that is it's very, very it breaks your concentration a lot, and it's something that the riders do not like, but there's nothing you can do about it.
It's one of the great things about cycling as well. We mentioned it last week. We're on the mountain stages. We first started the Giro, and of course, when we're on Ireland as well, the supporters and the ability to get close to your heroes, it is the beautiful thing about cycling. It really does set it apart from other sports, and there's a fine line sometimes of dealing with people who might be a little bit unruly and try to stop that. But again, you really don't want to go overboard and stop that interaction, do you? Because it is what makes it a very special event.
Yes, and I think that's the reason you get so many people turning out on the mountain stages in the big tours. They can see the riders so close as they just go by, and the peloton is stretched out as well, so you get a chance to see your riders. And if you're brave enough, or if you're drunk enough to run around beside them, you can do that and run past them actually. And we see so much of it in all the big tours, especially in the Tour of France, where we see every mountain stage there's all these guys, and I think it's become a competition now. With guys, back home, they're saying, well, how long can I run beside the riders? How long can I get on the TV? And I think that is the problem, that it's becoming a competition between those guys.
Well, Tour of California has been quite notorious for the last few years as well. Mr. Antlerhead, he seems to pop up everywhere with the American football jersey on, and the antlers coming out the helmet. Steam coming out the helmet of these guys when it starts to go uphill a little further. This is the front of the race. This is Valerio Agnoli. He's in the light blue, Italian rider from the north. Monsalve takes over. Albertino on the left-hand side. None of those giants. Not a big team, a Mega Pharma Quick Step. Tom De Kent, one of their more slight riders. We need to refine the form that saw him climb onto the Giro podium, but here he's working for the pink jersey, the leader of the race, Rigoberto Urán. Valorian Ventoso. Hard work. Eros Capecchi with a big job to do as well today. Local cycling club is out. Good to see. Tell you what, you're spoilt with a local cycling club in this area of the world, aren't you? All the Alps around. And go over to France and Switzerland for the day. It is a beautiful, beautiful part of the world. Pretty painful as well for a Sunday morning run. Monsalve out in the pedals, just putting the pace on. 50 kilometres to go. Climb here tops out at 41.6 to go. So we're on the harder section now, Sean.
Yes, we're
Key moment for the breakaways, pardon me.
Yes, we're getting to that section now where it's going to kick up percentage, and it'll be interesting to see will somebody up the pace a bit here in this breakaway. And it sounds a huge amount, 50 kilometres from the finish, but we have almost 30 kilometres of downhill, so that is going to go very, very fast, and you're on to the final climb of the day. So with under 10 kilometres to the top of this one, quite a bit less than 10, so it's still out there at 8 minutes in advantage, and we can see here some losing contact here in the main peloton.
Frapporti and Hondo. Hondo already distanced on the last climb.
The breakaway, sorry.
Hondo behind, and in the black and white, the German rider. This is what's left of the front of the break. Edvald Boasson-Hagen talked at length last week about development of his career. Boy, could he do with another Grand Tour stage win. This is where it all started for him on the Giro d'Italia, remember? Chiavenna, under the thunder and lightning. Couldn't find a more dramatic setting for his first stage win on a Grand Tour. Edvald Boasson-Hagen. Maybe keeping one eye on the Tour of Norway at the minute. Remember, you can do that on Eurosport as well. Check out with that, World Ports Classic. Declan, Magnus, Marty and Brian are all bringing you those races this weekend. '76 at the back here, Alinson Pantano. Still waiting for Colombia and other the riders to get Duarte or somebody really big like that in the break. Have a go at things. They've got the terrain coming up for them this week. De Gent and Pauls, Vought Pouls as well. Now here we go. Movement on the inside there. Europe car going for it. Is this the time for Pierre Rolland? We shall see. Didn't get quite a good shot. It is the time for Pierre Rolland. The time to have a go. The time to put the pace on. And this could change the complexity. This could change the tactical nature. This could change everything about today's race.
Yes, well, this is certainly a roll on time, as we can see here. They're starting to up the pace, and it will change for everybody. The breakout in front will be made aware of this, and this is going to really put a bit of urgency, because with 7:47 at the moment, and we did see the same situation when Roland went in the attack after Arredondo. There was
a week ago today,
there was a huge advantage, and it looked like that, the break was going to stay out there. Arredondo was going to hold on, but Pierre Rolland upset all of that, and it really put the general classification teams to work on the front, and then they all got swallowed up in the end. Now we're going to have the same situation here, as we can see Movistar starting to go on the track.
And here we go, Movistar really launching it with André Amador. We mentioned his Costa Rican fans watching all the way from back home earlier on today. And here he goes. You said Sean he loves to attack. I know that he loves the Giro. He said it before this race. Ricardo Zeudel, the Austrian champion, wants to get involved as well. And I can tell you, of climbers, of fighters, this is a great little group that's getting organised.
Yes, this is going to grow more, I would reckon. Otherwise, the pace being set on the front of the peloton of pink jersey is going to have to up it quite a bit to prevent more riders from attacking, and that's what Omega Pharma Quick-Step have been doing. They've been tapping away at a very easy pace, and now with riders attacking, we can see here already they have it up from the front of the bunch.
They certainly have. Movistar and Omega Pharma Quick-Step have come to take control of this. You and I have been waiting, chatting cycling, watching things develop, but this is where it really goes. 6 minutes and 52, the advantage already loses a minute just like that. 49 k's to go, and this peloton chasing behind, by the way, isn't actually yet halfway up the climb.
Well, we can see 48 kilometres to go, and at the summit it's 41.6 kilometres, so there's a long ways on this climb, and a lot of steep gradients where it kicks up, and we can see that Pierre Rolland is putting his teammate on the front here, setting a very fast pace, because Zeudel is having difficulty just making it onto the wheel of Pierre Rolland.
Well, the man setting the pace is the Basque rider, Roman Sicard, who used to ride for Euskaltel Euskadi. Talented climber, won world honours at junior level, a top rider, and here he is with a lot of work being done for him. Zeudel there as well. In fact, pardon me, it's not an 8, it's a 9, isn't it? Bjorn Thural is the man who's climbing so well in this Giro d'Italia. Certainly would have made more sense to send Sikar out there, but obviously doesn't have the legs. Bjorn running very combative Giro d'Italia. Now this is what's left of the group behind, and Sean, just the shape of the group, the look of the group changes immediately. We've seen quite a few riders already shed out the back, and they're strung out a little more, chasing seriously now.
Yes. Well, the moment you up the pace, there was a lot of riders just hanging in there. The pace was being set, and you know, they can just hold on in there. But the moment you up the pace a bit, we can see here, you know, losing riders all the time. And when you consider the distance at the top of this climb, there's going to be a lot more riders that lose contact with the main peloton.
Nasser Bouhanni trying to keep contact. It is a hard task. Now then, attacks are going to come, and attacks continue to come. This is Ryder Hagedal's effort. This is Garmin attempting to go. Hagedal being helped up there by Nathan Haas. Quick catch of Andre Amador. Looks as though Amador hasn't managed to get out in front, or Fragmentoso, in fact, was the man that launched Amador. So you imagine that Amador is a little further up the road. Neri Sottoli getting interested, as are Bardiani. A lot of people knowing that this now could end up being the winning move, like we saw last week almost with Pierre Roland, Julian Arredondo. Two gaps to look out for. 6:19 to the chasing group. Chasing group of Pierre Roland almost has a minute now on the peloton behind.
Two Garmin riders just trying to get out of the main peloton, but I think you know, this could be also the killing off of the possibility of Pierre Roland continuing. The peloton, you know, will have to start reacting here, because there's just more and more riders wanting to get across, and we can see that it's Omega Pharma Quickstep who are controlling just on the front. But will they allow so many riders to get away? We'll have to wait and see, and there's still, you know, sufficient time for them to get organised and to close this one down before the top of the climb.
Well, Pierre Roland, 5 minutes and 45 from the lead of Rigoberto Urán before today. Ryder Hagedal at 6 minutes and 55. Looked as though he was struggling to make the wheel of Nathan Haas a minute ago, but here he is out in the pedals in the blue jersey on the right-hand side, giving it his all. And suddenly, as soon as the peloton start to ride behind, Sean, exactly what you said, Pierre Roland's gap is down to 30 seconds or so. Bjorn Thorau is with him. He's the man setting the pace on the front. And Ricardo Zoidl, the Austrian champion, there as well. Now, Gorka Izagirre getting involved for Movistar. So Nairo Quintana obviously keen to send scouts up the road just to watch this one. Interesting groups developing. This is the main group, the one we've been watching all day. Emanuele Sella here on the left-hand side. He's in the white and multi-sponsored, multi-coloured jersey, as many as you can fit on there.
And a little bit more urgency, I reckon. Here we can see here they're just starting to push on. Previous pictures, they seem to be just rolling it on the front of that originally 21-man breakaway, but now information coming through that there's an attack back in the peloton. You have to get on with it, guys, and you can see there that they're pushing a bit more serious up front.
Ryder Hagedal on the left-hand side, Gorka Izagirre. Nathan Haas' job looks to be done. He's trying to hold on for as long as he can, though. Gordon Barnes asking us how much help is a teammate on the climb. I think you said earlier, Sean, that it's much more of an advantage on the flat. It's much more about pace setting here on the climb, isn't it?
Yes, well, it's good to have a teammate that can set the pace for you, because mentally you're sitting on the wheel there. You feel always that, you know, you're getting an advantage, but from all the proven tests, it doesn't, you know, give you a lot. But if you have a good teammate who can set a good pace that, you know, you can just follow, well, then that is important. And you always feel that, you know, you're sparing a bit for later in the stage when you have a guy who can set the pace for you.
Leaders of the race with Agnoli. Pulls off to the right-hand side, looks behind, see who's there. What damage has been done? Bossenhagen is up there. This is Pierre Roland, and the junction is about to be made. The hostilities on the way on stage 14 of the Giro. Nathan Haas looks behind. It's up front, though, that his teammate's done the job. Ryder Hagedal looks to be taking Gorka Izagirre with him, and Andre Amador, I think, was the man who attempted to go but didn't quite go. Thorau doing a great job here for Pierre Roland. They work tactically. Right, Hejdal there, that helmet strap. Please do it up. Gorkesi Guerre on the back. One of a very talented pair of brothers. Yannis Aguirre leading Paris-Nice for Movistar earlier on in the day. As this Rabottini's attempt to get involved for Neri Sottoli. Haas still thinks he can contribute here. And Rabottini it is. Good to confirm that. Still attempting to make the junction himself. Neri Sottoli represented in the break, but Matteo Rabottini is the uomo di classifica, as they say here. He's the general classification man. So this is the situation at the moment. Bjorn Thorau and Pierre Roland with Hejdal there, Zoidel, and of course is Aguirre back to the front of the race. Julien Vermotte, the representative of Omega Pharma Quick-Step, Domont behind him. Tim Wellens, aforementioned Monsalve, there's Quincy Ato. It's all together again, apart from the couple of strugglers and stragglers we saw in Danilo Hondo coming off right at the start of the climb. So Megaforma Quick-Step are organised. They're looking after very nicely the man in pink, Rigoberto Urán. Second wheel for Movistar, just on the wheel of Jose Herrada is Nairo Quintana. 45 seconds behind that chasing group. Rafael Maika of Tinkoff Saxo is there. And Sean Kelly, with the way they're riding, very, very strong out now. They're not messing around there.
Well, we can see here the pace being set by Omega Pharma Quick-Step is up quite a lot, and we can see Peter Serri just pushing on. There's not that group of riders all across the road as we've seen for all of the climbs. Is one line now, so that tells the pace is upped quite a lot. And you know, we have the out front, the men who are trying to go and take some time back. We talked about in the earlier part of our programme, Pierre Roland, who is down there in 12th place at 5:45. Rabottini is in close proximity there as well. He's just down in 15th place, and Hejdal, who is down in 16th place. So all of these men in general classification who are at that 5:45 to 6:55 down, they're just watching each other, and one goes, the other say, well, I'm going to try and follow here. I don't want to lose my place in the top 15 at the moment, and they see the opportunity that they could pull back a number of minutes here and of course go back into the top 10 in general classification.
We talk about pulling back the time. If they do that, with a rest day coming up, it really does change the outlook of the Giro d'Italia for the likes of Hejdal and Roland. If they can get back in it here, get the minutes back, then it's almost a little victory before the big test. And I'm saying the big test, this is a big test, but the triptych, really, of huge rides, huge days that are to come. I'm talking about the Val Martello, Passo, Stelvio, Gavia, then you've got Monte Grappa, then you've got Zoncolan. They're going to be the ones where it's all about survival, really, more than attacking. And if you can get some time back before then you're in a much better position.
Yes, and when you look at the guys who have gone in the attack, Pierre Roland, of course, in the time trials, he always seemed to struggle, and you know, he's got the probably the most difficult time trial out of the way. The next one is going to be a mountain time trial, so he will defend his place there quite well, and he needs to, you know, make a move in the general classification, because, you know, at 5:45 he's a long ways off, and if he can take 2 minutes back, well, then he gets into a real strong position. He can move into the top, you know, 5, 6, 7 in general classification. If you get yourself back into that, you know, 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes possibly, if they can pull enough of an advantage out here, well, then you're really in with a fighting chance to get on the podium.
Well, a few people asking about the Queen stage of the Giro d'Italia. It's hard to pick one out this year. We've got the Zoncolan, which can really decide things, even though we've got longer stages coming up. Now then, attacks all the way. Tinkoff Saxo really want to get involved at the front, and this is Nicholas Roche. We saw him go too early the other day. Sean Kelly, as a fellow Irishman, has he gone too early now? Is this the right time to attack?
Well, when you see 5:12 advantage at the moment, the gap is coming down, so there have to be something done here. Because we did see up in the breakaway they were pushing on a bit, but you really have to, you know, make a select group here, get 4 or 5 riders away, get to the top of the climb and really push on. And if you can, get off with a number 4 or 5 riders, make the descent to go on to the final climb of the day with that 5-minute advantage. But Pierre Roland coming up here, he's a serious one on the climb because he can make up a lot of time. And of course the Peloton is reacting as well, so we can see that there's a lot of action and more action coming out of the front of the Peloton here.
And guess who? Stefano Pirazzi. Cheers around the world in front of television sets. The attacker, the man, no matter what, who gives his all, wants to get involved. And if there's a party on the Giro, he's always invited. Nicolas Roche, in the meantime, is our sole leader of the race. Looks behind as he comes around. 44 kilometres to go. This climb, remember, tops out very, very soon indeed. 3.5 Ks to go to the top of it. Neri Sottoli rider Jonathan Monsalve wants to join in as well. Second category, so if you're thinking of the King of the Mountains, yes, there are points on offer, but the big one we've seen already go. Pierre Roland. Second wheel. Is Aguirre in front of him. I have to really talk up Bjorn Thorau as a domestique in this Giro d'Italia. We've seen him improving in the classics in the last few years. Yes, he's from a great cycling family with his dad Didi, but he's a rider in his own right to watch as a real quality worker.
Yes, well, he's doing a great performance in this Giro. He's been in breakaways on a number of occasions. Now he's doing the domestique work and doing it in really good style. And the pace he's setting there, he is really pushing on and doing a magnificent job for Pierre Roland. He's preparing the launching pad for him.
Well, Pirazzi's attack with a little bit of company as well is helping to try and keep Nathan Haas and Rabottini going. 43.1 kilometres to go. That is the gap visually as we go into the tunnel for Nicolas Roche ahead of Ivan Santaromita and the rest of the group chasing. Thanks to everybody saying hello from Australia, by the way. Great to have you with us late in the evening on a Saturday night. I'm sure you'll all get the chance to stay up and see how Cadel Evans does in terms of defending his time, even attempting to attack. We shall see. There's a lot to go here, and this has really blown up with the attack of Hagestad. This is a chasing group behind. 2 chasing groups on the road behind the breakaway. This is the second chasing group, as you can see. Beautifully singled out by our graphics people there. That including Rabottini, 6 minutes and 48 back for Neri Sottoli. Stefano Pirazzi, not really one to worry about on the overall, but an attacker for attacking's sake, as always. Nicolas Roche has gone. Again, great attacking riding again from Nico. Just the question is, has he gone too early? As Sean said, there's things happening behind, so sometimes you just have to make the decision and go. Of course, he's not going to stop going. Of course, coming into this Giro, kilometre away now from the top of this second category climb, he was very much looking to try and win the thing. Now that he's lost all the time in the crash, he won't want to come to the Giro, Sean, and take nothing away from it.
Certainly not, and he's been very active in the last number of days, and we can see that in the time trial, he just took it easy and preparing for today, and now he's in a really good position here because inside the final kilometre on this climb, if he can get onto the descent and really push on, possibly get over the summit here with 15 seconds plus an advantage. If you really make a fast descent, we could see the chasing group just having a look at each other, because we can see the gap is quite a nice gap at the moment, and go on to the final climb, and there's always a possibility of the chasers, when they get on that final climb, that they will start marking each other. But again, we'll have to wait and see the time gaps for the groups coming out of the main peloton. Pierre Roland, that will be a really interesting one to see what he has at the top of the summit here on the group of Nicolas Roche and the rest of them chasing.
Lawrence Watson says they're all screaming at the television in Ireland. They want Nicolas Roche to do something here. Remember, so disappointing for an Irish Giro, let's say, that Dan Martin sadly crashed out in the first stage. Nicolas Roche, the other Irish contender, losing all that time on the way to Monte Cassino. Here is Nico Roche attempting to take first King of the Mountains points. And remember, as Sean said, the descent's going to be important here. We're talking nearly 30 kilometres. And as soon as that is done, it's all the way uphill. What do you have left for that final first category climb? We expected an Irish day today with Nico Roche in the break. We're getting it right now. We accepted an exciting day, and we're getting that too. Close to the top of the climb now. Again, soigneurs, helpers, everybody positioned in what is a difficult route of climbing and descending. It's the only way you can really get the bottles to people when they need them. Going through the Oasi Zegna region. And listen to this. Doesn't matter what nationality, where you come from, who you ride for, they will always cheer for you. Nicolas Roche, 75 metres from the top. He will take the maximum points at the top. 1,482 metres into the Alps and into the sky. The Giro on its first serious mountain day, as Nicolas Roche with that gap now sprints from behind from the points as well. Tim Wellens has made a sterling effort to come and take more points, so his chances of competing for the King of the Mountains jersey, as well as Jonathan Monsalve, are going to be very, very interesting. It's time to go. It's time to check the time differences. It's time for us to go for a quick break. The action has really lit up here on the Giro d'Italia, stage 14, and all of its exciting conclusion coming right up. 39.1 kilometres to go. You've been away for a tea break or for some dinner. You've been away at the wrong time, I'm afraid. It has all blown up on that second category climb. Peloton behind now have to do some chasing. The clock is on, because we've seen Ryder Hayes style as long and as well as Team Europe cars. Pierre Rolland go on the attack. Rolland just behind this man, Bjorn Thurau, is doing a sterling job for not just his teammate, those hanging on behind as well. Gorka Izagirre and the Austrian champion Riccardo Zeudler there. Zeudler has been building his way back up, rode the Tour de Romandie, an injury early season, and some saying that he's hitting good form now. A mountains man, of course. There's Cadel Evans right next to the pink jersey wearer. That's Rigoberto Urán. Movistar have been well placed all the way up this climb. Rafael Majka in the white jersey as well. Kelderman is still there. All the main favourites here. The pace not quite high enough yet to put everybody in trouble, but it has been higher, and it has been needed to be higher, pardon me. 4 minutes and 5 seconds. Long descent now, Sean. The man who leads the race is Nicolas Roche. He's got a chance here.
Yes, well, I think he has no choice really in the situation, because with the movement behind, we see Pierre Rolland there. It'd be nice to see. Hopefully we'll see Pierre Rolland as they come over the top, and here it is, what, 4:25, 26, so they pull back a lot here, and that is the reason I think Nicolas Roche had to get out of that the group of the breakaway. The big, originally 21 riders, but that's, you know, after coming down a lot, and we can see here Pirazzi coming through again, another group coming up. So because of the action behind, you have to get on, and I think Nicolas Roche, if he can really push on the descent, he could pull out a nice advantage. Will they get organised, that group of Pierre Rolland? We know Pierre Rolland doesn't descend that really fast, so I think Roche can pull out the advantage much more, and it depends on the rest of the breakaway. We did see Wellens there, Monsalve coming over. Will they really, go very fast in the descent and try and pull back Roche? So there's a lot of questions to be answered. We'll have to wait and see a little bit further. And with the peloton as well, we can see there they're working away at it at the moment, and not overly concerned about the ones out front. And of course Pierre Rolland's a long ways off in general classification, and they probably feel in the final climb as well they can pull back a bit of time from him.
Well, they are set up with quite a few riders that have already gone out the back. Upping of the pace really has shed a few of those tired legs. Now the gap down to 5 minutes and 48 as they come over. And considering we were at 8.5 minutes, just 10 kilometres or so back, there's been a huge, a sea change almost in what's happened. Well, the Giro caravan has arrived at the finish, but we're more interested in this man, Nicolas Roche. Can he do it? We'd love to find out from you. # Eurosport Cycling, @RobHatchTV. Questions for us to be be answered in this final part of the stage. Situation of the road is like this. The front of the race is this man. There's a breakaway group still behind, but the first chasing group 4:25 behind on the road. And we look quickly back to the finish. Thankfully, the roads and those cobblestones are dry. And this is what we talked about in cycling. Everybody can get involved. You can cycle the route and you can feel exactly how your heroes feel. You basically punish yourself.
And you don't need a road bike. You can see a lot of people getting up here with their mountain bike, so it's not that steep.
It's accessible. Maglia Rosa group. Now Cannondale come to the front. Ivan Basso will be wanting to think about perhaps getting some time back, but it's a difficult one for Basso on these sorts of stages. He's not a man who is famed for going on the attack. He's more of a diesel engine who just outlasts the rest, isn't he?
Well, that's always his been style, and you know, he always had a big team around him in his better years. They, you know, just kept on making a pace and to get him to the final climb and the wearing down process, and that was where he was strong. But now, you know, he hasn't got that explosive effort in the final climb, so he needs to go in the attack. But it's difficult to change an old fox from his habits, and Basso, I feel that he should be also, you know, prepared to go at Pierre Roland with Heisdal and you know, try something different here and pull back the time, more time than he was expecting to lose in the time trial and in the earlier stages.
People watching from Vancouver screaming at the telly for Ryder Heisdal as well. He's gone on the attack behind, but the man who's leading in at the moment is Nicolas Roche. Nicolas Roche out there. He wanted something from this Giro. He said that his team needed something. And you said it'd be fast, Sean. It's 30 Ks, almost 30 Ks all the way down. And look at those kilometres just going by very, very quickly now. Roche is really attacking this, pedalling the descent.
Yes, he has to really attack, and he has to try and hold on out in front now, because if he allowed the group to get back in here, well, then you're in a situation when you got onto the final climb, and you know, there's always guys who will want to get carried up the final climb for a long ways and get an easier ride. So if you've got a descent, which we have here, get onto the final climb with as much an advantage over the chasers, and that'll be the interesting one, to see how much he has got on the other breakaway companions that he left in the final number of kilometres of this Bielmonte climb. And but he's doing a good job at the moment, and when you get onto the climb alone, you can just, you know, go close to 100% all the way up it, and just hope that you have enough power left and enough to hold off the chasers.
Pretty in pink, Uran descending. Sin Heisdal giving his all. This is Nathan Haas, though. Second chasing group on the road, 4:52 behind. Around 30 seconds separating them. They're still not out of it yet. Zardini and Pirazzi of Bardiani behind, with Rabottini in the luminous yellow. Easy to spot those Italian pro-continental teams with the bright colours. This is the back of the breakaway. Battaglin right at the back there. Maglia Rosa group here. Very, very interesting to see how much it has been threaded down. Cannondale doing a real job for Basso at the minute. Movistar just behind, and if you're looking at numbers and teams, Movistar seem the best represented out the lot now.
Yes, and when you look at the team, they certainly have, you know, the quality, and they have the easy ride as well. Omega Pharma Quickstep have been, you know, doing a lot of the grafting to control the pace being set in the peloton. We've been talking about that, the non-climbers in the team, Pataki and Ilio Kazan setting the pace, and now we have, you know, the more stronger and the better climbers who have been doing that, but they have disappeared off the front, and it's Cannondale who is taking it up here, and that's something that I think Omega Pharma Quickstep will be happy with. They'll just allow the descent to go on here and try and recover a bit, and, you know, Thomas de Gent and and co, they will just sit in here, follow down, and try and get onto the final climb, or maybe before the final climb just do a bit of more pulling on the front and set Rigoberto Urán onto the last climb of the day in a real good position.
Back of the Maglia Rosa group. Nicola Boen hanging on. He'll want to hang on until he gets to home territory in Veneto Stage into Vittorio Veneto, one for him to have a go at. Dry descent. We've not really had that yet in the Giro d'Italia. It's good news. It means that they can attack it with gusto. It means that everybody hopefully can be that little bit safer. There's Marco Frapporti, part of the original breakaway. He's caught, and he's caught by the group with Zoidl, Gorka Izagirre, and of course Ryder Hejsdal, who we know, by the way, is a British Columbian. But we've had people riding in from Vancouver saying that they're watching. Movistar at the front. Cannondale just a few metres in front of them in their bright green jerseys. This is Bardiani at the back. Expect us to get quite a few shots now of this man, Nicola Bohem. Understandably, our cameras cannot get in between the riders on the descent. All about safety. Be good to get a shot of Nicolas Roche again. Do you know what? I think he's wearing a skin suit. I think he had this planned, he thought of this, and he's obviously studied the route today.
Well, I think you see that Bohani is wearing a skin suit, and I think a lot of riders, when they see that, they think, well, that is the thing to do. That's the way to go out and win a stage. But
certainly on a descent, it can really help you here.
Yes, well, it's getting more and more, and we're seeing a crash.
Oh dear, dear, oh dear, oh dear. And it's the Colombian champion, Miguel Angel Rubiano. At the back, he's on the ground. He's the only rider there that we can see, and he's just being attended to straight away. He's already been down in this Giro d'Italia, has Miguel Angel Rubiano. Again, we hope he's okay. Good news is he's moving. Doctor comes and has a look at him straight away, and he's able to get to his feet himself. Now then, he was messing with that gilet at the back. Is this what we saw yesterday? Well, we didn't see the crash itself, but we saw yesterday a crash with, I think it was Vladimir Gusev, who had his gilet and rain jacket caught up in the back brake. The gilet's either half on, half off there. Perhaps we've seen the same thing, Sean.
Yes, well, he is doing something with the gilet. Was he trying to take it off on the descent? It certainly has caused a problem there, and it has caused a crash. And we did see yesterday when it was falling into the wheels of riders, which is very, very dangerous. And it looks like that he had it on one arm there. Maybe he was trying to get it off. He could not be trying to put it on the descent, but also you should not take it off. You should wait for a moment here, and if it's getting a bit too warm, just open it up and get down with the descent. Inexperienced if he's tried to do either.
Certainly with the speeds they're travelling at here. Well, Longo Borghini looks as though he's had a mechanical. Looking back wheel puncture, I think. Not the ideal time, because Sean, they'll be going at some speeds on these descents here.
Yes, well, they are going at a very fast rate. We could see the rear end of the peloton there, and we just talked about it. You could see the guys on the rear, 2 and 3 bike lengths, and they're really fighting to keep in contention out of the corners, making a big effort to get back into the wheel, but a little bit nervous on the descent, those guys. And again, they take 4 or 5 bike lengths, and when you do that on a descent, it does take a lot out of you. If you're a good descender, you can relax and stay a bit low, so stay at 2 bike lengths and do that on the straight, in and out of the corners with comfort, but some of them just not as comfortable as others.
Well, final climb starts with 11.7 kilometres to go, but it's almost 30 kilometres of descending here. You may think we've been descending for a while. Well, there's quite a bit yet to come. Just about a third of the way through this descent. Front of the race. Well, we assume that Nicolas Roche is at the front of the race. Giant rider on your screen was Albert Tima. I wonder if Edvald Boasson-Hagen is close to the front. Of course, notoriously good descender. Matthias Dahl as well riding into us, saying that Nico could be in contention but would struggle on the last climb. Being asked for the time gates and gaps, pardon me, we're waiting them ourselves. Maglia Rosa group. It's not always easy when people are travelling at such a fast pace down here. This is Albert Tima. 178 out there. Giant Shimano having a real go. And they've given everything so far on this Giro d'Italia as a team. So unlucky to lose their leader, Tobias Ludvigsson, in the time trial the other day to a very nasty crash. Good news is nothing broken there. Some rest required. Back to the Maglia Rosa. Rigoberto Urán in the pink. A lot of very, very nervous fans watching this. Where is Nicholas Roche? We haven't seen him for a while.
Well, he has to be up front, I think. It's surprising if he's not, and we can see here Timber and a lot of riders starting to come back here, but we're getting time checks on Pierre Roland, of course. First chasing group, second chasing group, which is Perazzi, was at 4:30, but a lot of riders in between here. As we can see here, they're starting to appear because we had 21 riders out in front, so we must not forget that. There's some of them who went back into the peloton, but there is a lot in between here, and there's riders everywhere on this descent.
Kemeneur coming back to this group to help Pierre Roland get to the front, so he has obviously serious designs on taking the win today. This is the second group on the road. Pirazzi alongside Zardini. Now, Boasson-Hagen. Nicholas Roche still is out front. He's not in that group.
Battagling just, clawing his way back on here. You can see there's 2 bike lengths here at this point, and he just keeps on coming. Cataldo really just having difficulty in that final 75 metres, and Battagling coming over. And after the effort Battagling had to make to get back to them in the final kilometre, what a sprint he put up.
Well, we saw the images from 1999 before. There were some tired faces here, and that is refreshing to see. It's good to see. And I tell you what, cycling can do just as heroic, just as entertaining in the modern day as well. Look at this. These guys have suffered. They are hurting. They wanted the big prize. Battaglin on the left-hand side. What a Giro suddenly it is for Bardiani. They placed everything on stage wins, nothing for GC, all about breakaways, and they have another winner.
Closer. It came down to the last 10 metres. He must be ecstatic with that win.
Ma un'incredibile vittoria sicuramente, poi perché
well, delighted for the victory.
Chilometro zero, quindi tutta la gara in fuga.
Of course, it went away, and I was away from the first kilometre, so I've been away all the break in the stage. There was plenty of men in front, but managed to come back, and well, it is a superb, superb win for me. What a fight. Enrico Battaglin, second day in a row that Bardiani win, following on Canola yesterday. Dario Cataldo almost did it for Sky, a much better day for them, despite the fact they lost their leader on the road, Svitsov, who had to retire. Pantano in third. Paul Lantz, what a ride from him to come back. Fourth place. We could be talking about today's stage for a long, long time. Already out of breath. Here is the overall standings, and this is what it looks like. Nairo Quintana has got back another 25 seconds. He's in 6th, 3 minutes and 4 down. Urán holds on to the Maglia Rosa, 32 seconds behind Cadel Evans, who picks up 2 or 3 seconds himself on the day. Urán ends the day in pink. The stage win, though, belongs to Battaglin. Battaglin sprinting away. His day on the Giro d'Italia, his photograph that's in tomorrow's papers, famous for a day, a Giro d'Italia stage winner, Enrico Battaglin.